Alright guys, there are some interesting changes coming in this next Wild Blood patch. So without further ado, let's talk about them. First off, we have axes, which are very strong, getting a buff. It's only, the buff is only for Raging Blades. So, okay. Fair enough. Nobody really uses it. It probably does need to be buffed. But I'm still a little bit surprised to see axes get a buff. Next up, let's actually skip down here to Shapeshifter Staffs. Yeah, everybody knew that the nerfs were coming, right? That's not a surprise. What is a surprise is this little bit right here. Adapting Matter is actually getting buffed. It now hits up to 5 allies, and the shield is increasing. Now, the reason is, Adapting Matter is completely underutilized. It's very strong though, like I'm telling you. I made a video where I showcased the Rootbound Staff in the arena, and it's oppressive. Like, you can ensure that your healer never dies, and at the same time do more damage than anyone in the game except for probably fire. It's absolutely cracked, but absolutely under the radar. So I'm a little bit surprised to see Adapting Matter get a buff, but everything else pretty much nerfed. So Reality Fisher, shift charges gained on hit is now 1 instead of 2. The Primal Staff got some nerfs. The cooldown is going from 12 seconds to 15 seconds on the first cast. Second cast now requires a charge instead of 0. And the second cast, cooldown goes from 15 to 18 seconds. With Distortion, damage per tick is getting nerfed. This, I think, is necessary because it is very strong. Everybody uses Distortion. It has a very long range. You can basically poke with it. It also is AoE in like a 5v5, 10v10 sort of fight. You can do crazy damage with Distortion, so I think this is absolutely necessary. Golem, I don't really know much about Golem. This probably is going to be ineffectual, but yeah, it is what it is. Next up, the Assassin Jacket is getting basically reworked. They're not calling it a rework, but the cooldown is going from 60 to 40 seconds. That is a colossal cooldown reduction for something so strong. But it is coming with a trade-off, right? The duration of invisibility is going from 8 seconds to 6. It's getting the hit delay. This is going to be the most obnoxious part for ambush users. Now when you try to go invis, there's going to be a 0.2 second delay. The radius actually increases, and then there's going to be an indicator that shows you like when you're going to leave the radius. So that will actually be a quality of life upgrade for ambush, but overall, I think it's going to be a little bit weaker. I've already started selling all my 8.3 Assassin Jackets, just in case. I'm not trying to sit on them. The price has gone absolutely berserk anyways. Now is probably the best time to offload some high echelon Assassin Jackets. Then we have to talk about the DUS Weaver Helmet. Guys, I swear to you, someone over at SBI, like, the DUS Weaver Helmet is their brainchild. They are in love with this item. No one uses it. And they're sitting over there like, dude, please, somebody use this helmet that I created. It's so fun. Trust me, it's so fun. Just use it. So, this is the 3rd consecutive buff to the DUS Weaver Helmet. It was 30-second cooldown, and now it's all the way down, or I think it was 40, now it's all the way down to 20-second cooldown, even if you double cast it. That's absolutely insane. I am shocked that Bloodletters and Double Bladeds are not already abusing this, because, I mean, 100%, they could just ensure that nobody gets away ever. It could be correct, but no one uses it. It's another under-the-radar item, and they are trying to see that it finds some use. After that, the next relevant change is going to be to the Avalon Cape. I think this is a typo. It says damage is going from 160 to 14. I assume that's 140, because that's already a fairly significant buff. They can't just drop the damage to 0. That would be a little bit asinine. But yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit, because the Avalon Cape, yes, it is strong. Basically, if you're familiar with the Thetford Cape, the Avalon Cape is the same thing, except it does double the damage at the cost of double the cooldown. But it has an additional effect. It reduces the opponent's damage by 40%. Or no, it might be 20%. It reduces opponent's damage for 4 seconds. That's like the passive effect on top of the damage. So that's what gives the Avalon Cape the value, basically. It is the same thing as Thetford with the extra passive. So this is going to hit the price of Avalonian Capes for sure. I've already sold my entire Avalonian Cape horde. Yeah. Time to sell Avalonian Capes. I don't think many people are going to use them after this. Honestly, I have never used the Avalonian Cape. I tried it once and I was like, nope, not for me. The 30-second cooldown is unbearable, and it's predictable, and you can easily outplay an Avalonian Cape because it's pretty big burst damage. You already know it activates on the first auto attack, and for Retaliate Hunter Hood users like me, that's the easiest thing in the world to just reflect it, and it's almost GG because they're going to be doing other damage, you know, early on in the fight, and if you reflect it all back in their face, it's hard to recover from that. So to me, the Avalonian Cape has never been all that threatening. It really hasn't. So I don't think the buff is necessary, but because it is coming when it is not necessary, I think it's going to absolutely murder the Avalonian Capes. Now they do make a good point, what they say, especially when paired with melee weapons that they don't have much damage output on their own. Yes, okay, double-bladed is a perfect example of this. They run at you, stun you with stun run, they pop their jacket, rock their cape. It's a massive burst of damage for a weapon that's not intended to have burst damage, right? It's actually stupid. So I get it, they're basically indirectly nerfing that, and then the double-bladed, they're just going to run away like a little girl, and then rinse and repeat, and there's really not much you can do about it. It is very strong. I don't think this alone, though, is even going to make an impact. So, I mean, I think double-bladed still. Double-bladed has seen several indirect nerfs recently, because they also nerfed the Stalker Jacket, which almost every double-bladed user uses. However, it's not enough. It's still just absolutely obnoxious. Let's see what else. Frost Staffs. Okay, so the Great Frost sees 0 use. I've never in my life seen anyone use this weapon, so it's getting a pretty hefty buff. I think that's necessary. Sounds good. Assassin's Spirit is getting a nice buff. Yeah, it doesn't see much use, but people who do use it, I've had my butt kicked by Assassin's Spirit dagger users. It can be very strong, so this makes me a little hesitant to fight it in the future. I'm not sure how this will change the interaction there, but it could be very strong. On the Life Curse Staff, they just buffed this in the last patch. Now you can no longer reflect the damage, so dude, Life Curse is going to be very strong. I think this is another stealth below the radar weapon that will probably see more use soon, and it's going to become obnoxious if people pick up on it. Wailing Bow, yeah, for most followers of this channel, I think most of us are solo players, so this isn't going to matter for us. This is mostly for ZVZ, especially because the first hit, I mean, that's a 0 buff. The big buff comes from the 4th hit, which means you need to hit 4 people, you know, 40 extra damage. So this is for ZVZ players. If that's you, maybe look at using a Wailing Bow. They're trying to make it strong. And that's pretty much it. Everything that they've talked about in the NDA, I covered. As always, I hope you all found value in this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like. That always is reassuring. And I'll keep pumping out the content, and I hope to see you guys around in future videos. Thanks so much. Take care.